We breaking bread, yeah. We breaking bread, yeah. We breaking bread, yeah. One conversation at a time. We breaking bread, yeah. We breaking bread, yeah. We breaking bread, yeah. One conversation at a time.
The Breaking Bread Village.
One conversation at a time.
The Breaking Bread Village.
One conversation at a time.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Breaking Bread Village. I'm so excited to have our guests on today and have this conversation. And I just want to warn people that we may talk about some things that are a little sensitive. And if there are some things relating to, some things relating to birth issues that have taken place, or some hardships or heartaches that you've experienced through your birthing journey. I just wanted to warn you that this may be something that could possibly trigger you. So I just wanted to say that up front so everybody is aware of that, and just kind of prepare for that so that you can make your own choice in regards to listening and participating with us during this journey. So I want to go ahead and bring on our guest, Miss Megan.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm blessed. I'm wonderful. Thank you.
Awesome. I'm so happy to have you on today and to have this conversation, and that you were willing to talk and just kind of share your journey. I think it's so important for us to have these kind of spaces to talk and to be able to be transparent and kind of vulnerable and open with each other, so that we can, I believe, help each other heal. So I just wanted to have you here to share some of your journey and your story. So of course, then, somebody else may be able to take something away from it and possibly help them along the way. So first, you can go ahead and introduce yourself.
My pleasure. I'm glad to be here. Okay, my name is Megan Jennifer Harris. I am a wife and a mother and a violinist, violin teacher, entrepreneur. I'm a sister, soul sister, an aunt, a friend.
All that, right?
Yes, a lover of the healing arts, a giver, all of the above, and unselfish in wanting to help people.
Yeah, and that's why I believe you're here to share this story, because, and not necessarily, sometimes it's not even about, and I say that not saying that people who don't want to share are selfish, but I believe that in your heart, you see and understand that people need spaces and people need to share stories. And if one person can't, then maybe somebody else can, right? To be able to kind of share that load. So I just want you to kind of get started, with your kind of like your journey. Again, I told you, I work with women and birth workers, and a lot of times people experience such hardship and such heavy burdens that people don't even realize people go through, right? And I know a young lady that she did have a issue that took place with her pregnancy, where she lost a baby, unfortunately. And I just remember her telling me she didn't even talk so much about losing the baby. What she talked about so much was having to tell people that she lost the baby. And people saying, well, I thought you were, I thought this, and and touching her stomach, like, why aren't you sure? All this pain that she had to constantly revisit. And I just remember being so heartbroken, and as a mother myself, I, have never experienced that. So I don't ever try to, pretend that I understand what a person goes through. So that's why I talk to people, and that's why I reach out to people to share stories, so that when I am working with people or when I am talking to a sister or a friend, I know how to kind of approach that situation, because I don't know, and I don't try to know, but I do want to be empathetic, and I do want to hear the story to see if possibly, I could be of any service or help. So I want you to go ahead and tell your story, and we'll go from there.
Okay. I'll start with the abbreviated version, and then if there's any space in there where you're like, okay, well, can you elaborate on that?
Sure.
Then feel free. I got married late. We had a baby first time late. It was meaning late. I was 30 something. I forgot how old I was when I got married.
And people consider that because society has put up a
Yeah,
boundary of what we're when we're supposed to have children. So that's why we
right.
say that.
Yeah. And I was 37 when I got pregnant. It was my first pregnancy. We got pregnant first try, no issues. Um, Carried him full term, delivered vaginally, not without medication. I did have medication. And he nursed for a while, and all of that seemed to be okay. I had some trauma from the birth experience itself, but I didn't think that it would get in the way of us having more children. However, we did have some challenges with my recovery. And with that, we had to take some other measures to help me recover. And I'll come back to that aspect. That's a
Okay.
very tiny detail. But long story short, we did wind up conceiving again, but we miscarried that baby. And it was interesting because we had such an easy time conceiving the first time. When we conceived the second time, it was like, oh wow, okay, so we're doing this now. Okay, cool. And we told everybody, right? We thought it was going to be fine because the first time was a breeze,
Sure.
relatively speaking. And then we lost it 8 weeks later, or roughly 8 weeks later. So that was hard. I didn't know what to expect. Um, and we were like, okay, we'll try again. Every loss is heartbreaking, but it was the first one. So it was like, and we were coming off of already having a child.
Right.
So, I didn't want to diminish the fact that we had lost the baby, but I had a baby to hold on tight to.
Sure.
So then we
So let me,
tried.
Megan. I'm sorry, just to interject real
Mhm,
quick.
mhm.
Do you feel because it was 8 weeks? Did people kind of say to you, "Well, it wasn't that you weren't that far along," or did people say things like that? Because I've heard that before, where people, because it was in their mind a short amount of time, they feel like sometimes you shouldn't be as impacted by it because it was only 8 weeks or things like that. Did that ever happen to you with that?
To be honest, I really don't remember much about the
Okay.
first loss.
Okay. Okay.
I don't
No,
remember
that's
much
fair.
about the first one. I do know that it was sad, but
Yeah.
I don't remember what people specifically said to me then.
Okay. Okay. And
But we had,
we'll get back to that, but go ahead. Yeah.
yeah, we had
Mhm.
more after that. So, and there was a lot tied to each one sequentially after that. So I said this is going to be the abbreviated version. So we had a total of 6 consecutive miscarriages. All of them didn't go past 8 weeks. Um, and in between those, we were trying to figure out, trying to get answers like what's causing this or why are we
Yeah.
having this trouble? And, so we did testing, and it was mostly me. And my husband didn't undergo any testing, I don't think. But we didn't go as far as genetic testing towards the
Gotcha.
end because we were like, okay, well, what will we do with that information? If we got genetically tested and then there showed some abnormalities, then what?
Yeah.
Would that be our answer? Or would we try to take things in other hands and all that? So I just decided to be like, you know what, let's just be okay with it. And as I approached mid 40s, that also influenced my decision to stop trying. Like I didn't want to try after the last one. um Man, there's so many nuances to this story. There's so like I'm trying to give the abbreviated version.
No, we listen. We have an hour, so you go ahead and talk,
Oh
and
man.
yeah, don't overthink that. Just
Yeah.
let it flow, because I have some questions as well, but I want to hear your story.
Yeah, well, I journaled. I would start journals each time I learned I was pregnant. So I
Okay.
would document, what I was feeling. in those moments, and what I was praying for, what I was hoping for, what I was believing.
Sure.
So I would really need to like look at the journals to help me remember everything. But I do remember that many of the losses were near significant dates. So like
Oh,
either near my birthday or near my husband's birthday or my mother's birthday or Thanksgiving, Christmas. I experienced one loss Christmas Eve.
oh, okay. Mm,
I was
sorry.
actually out of town and I was playing for a gig at the church. It was a Christmas gig. And you know, Christmas is centered around the birth of a baby.
Right.
So that was like, ooh. And then there were a lot of pregnant women in the congregation, and their
Yeah.
faces were rosy and bellies were just round. And I'm sitting on stage trying to keep my composure while I'm trying my best not to buckle over in pain because I
Oh,
was
it was happening
cramping.
at that moment. Wow.
Oh
Okay.
yeah,
Oh, wow.
yeah. We had, I think it was 3 services that day. So it was Christmas. Yeah, it was a Christmas Eve. Yeah, Christmas Eve at a church. It was a morning service, an afternoon service, and an evening service. And the bleeding started like the night before. And the only reason why I was like, well, I don't have to go to the hospital, or I don't think I'm going to bleed so much that I have to go, because that miscarriage was it the fourth one? It was either the fourth one or the fifth one. But up
Mhm.
until this point, they were starting to mimic each other. They were similar each time.
Okay.
I didn't carry any of them longer than the others. It would always fall off at around
Around
that
the
seven,
eighth
eight
week.
week mark.
Okay.
And so that's why I wasn't like, oh, I need to go to the hospital. I went to the hospital the first time because I didn't know. And I didn't lose so much blood that I needed a transfusion or anything like that. It wasn't
Right.
it wasn't severe. I hadn't gotten that far along for, the bleeding to be a lot, a lot, a lot.
Right.
And so, yeah, the rest of them kind of followed that same pattern. But I do distinctly remember that being a very difficult one because I had to put my game face on and I had a job to do. I had to just
Yeah.
power through my job and hope
Which
that I
women
didn't.
we do that so
Yeah,
often, right?
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, do I have enough protection? Can I get to the bathroom in time? Am I gonna, luckily I was wearing all black and I wasn't
Yeah.
sitting on, any cloth chairs or anything like that.
Yeah.
But still, and it was painful. It hurt. Like it was physically painful. So I'm trying
Mhm.
not to wince my face. I'm trying not to buckle over. I'm trying not to, do anything to let anybody know that I was actually in physical pain.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the minister of music, it was at a school, and they between services, like people would leave and do other things, and I just
Sure.
found like a little corner to kind of tuck myself away in. And
Mhm.
prior to the evening service, there was somebody going through a round of, trying to see if there were people still in the building, and I was there. And they're like, "You're gonna stay here all by yourself?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm, I'll just stay here. It's fine."
And nobody still knew what was happening.
No, but the pastor could actually tell something was up with me
Yeah.
and was like, "You're not staying in this building. What's
Yeah.
wrong with you?" I
Yeah.
was like, "I'm fine." I insisted that I was okay. I was like, "I do not want to tell this person who I don't know." In this moment, he's kind of like my boss. Do I tell him?
Yeah.
Right. And I eventually did open up to him and just say, honestly, this is what's happening. I told him, and he was like, let me get my wife because she just went through something similar, and let me get her. Do you mind talking to her? And the wife comforted me, and she was like, you're coming with us. You're not staying here. You're coming with us. So they took me in, and I was appreciative of that. They fed me, didn't ask me no questions, didn't
Yeah.
preach to me, didn't quote scripture or anything. They
Yeah.
just surrounded me with love and laughter, and not in a way that was like overly doting, like, oh, you're going through something, so let's pay special attention to you. It wasn't like that. It was
Yeah.
just, you don't need to be alone right now. I know you want to be
Yeah.
alone, but you
Yeah.
don't need to be alone.
It's so interesting. And first, I want to start off by saying that of course, I'm sorry that you went through that, right?
Thank you.
Nothing about that is easy or something that nobody should have to deal with that. I mean, I think that the physical pain of it, from what I've heard, and of course what I've read is one thing, but I also want to talk about the emotional breakdown that we as women go through, because there is such pressure put on us in the society that our whole being is surrounded around being a mother, right? So it's like that's your main goal and purpose in life, is to be a mother, right? So it's like for us, when that's put on us so heavy, and from such a little child. I mean, when you're little, you get dolls and you pretend to be mommy, and it's this idea that that's what we're here for, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you have that your whole lifespan, the emotional part that comes with that, I'm just assuming here, when you feel like you are inadequate because you can't, because based on society's measures that they put on us, right? And then not only society, but people around us. I mean, I just remember I had children, really young, so I didn't experience this as much, but I just remember hearing people who were, in their 30s or, even 20s, when you gonna have a baby, or, why you not having a baby yet? And it's like, my goodness. You know what I'm saying? It's like, but, I mean, did you feel that inadequacy? Did you feel that at all when that didn't
I
happen?
did. Yeah, I felt broken and I did feel inadequate. I felt like a switch just went off and everything broke.
Which you're not, of course, but
Right.
that's it's a real feeling.
Yeah. And the emotional aspect behind that too, beyond just, the expectation of being a mother and having a child, is that while you're waiting, that waiting period from the time that you learn you're pregnant till the time you learn that you're losing it, that's an
Mhm.
agonizing wait. Because it's like, okay, do I get my hopes up? Do I start planning? Do I start thinking about how to rearrange the house? Do I start looking at our finances to adjust them to accommodate,
Do I
another?
tell people? Do I
Do I
tell
tell
people?
people? Right. Do I tell anybody? So then you feel kind of isolated because,
Mhm. You can't share it. Yeah.
if you share it, then you also will, I don't want to say run the risk, but I'll say it. You run the risk of people then, just overdoing it when you actually do lose the baby. There's all these questions, there's all this consoling, and not that it's not sincere, because people are trying to be sincere, but it gets overwhelming after a while. Like, thank you, I appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah, well, and then it almost gets to a point where you end up consoling them, because sometimes, you know what I mean? People feel
Yeah.
so bad for you. And it's like, it's okay, I'll be okay. And it's like, wait a minute, I don't want to console you right now. I'm in this process, right now for myself. I
Mhm.
just always feel so bad for us as women sometimes, and it's not like we have, I mean, we have some burdens that are placed on us, not by our own, but it's just such a pressure.
Mhm.
So not only are you dealing with the physical aspect of, what's going on in my body,
Mhm.
what's happening, where this, like you said, this switch is like not going off like it's supposed to, but
Mhm.
also this pressure from outside, and from society. And then
Mhm.
especially, like you said, with your first pregnancy, it was what people consider normal, right? Where just,
Mhm.
you didn't have to try hard, you did what you did, and a baby came from that. And like you said, the pregnancy was pretty normal, and everything, you had the baby vaginally, which is to be expected and normal, so to speak. And so that second time, so after, and I know it's probably hard to remember because it's been so long, but after that second time, did you ever just feel like, maybe this isn't, how did you feel? Because I know it's some cliches, and I know we talked about this before, in regards to things that people say, especially in the church, people will say, and when I shouldn't say in the church, in religion, period, people will say, well, it just wasn't God's time for you, or it wasn't meant to be. God didn't want you to have it right now, or it's always this sense of this higher power said that it wasn't your time right now, which I get that, but then it's like, but I'm still. Am I just being used as this vessel? I mean, it's this thing that you go through. So how did you feel? I mean, I'm sure people said that to you. How did you feel when
Yeah. I mean, the first time it was like, okay, I can accept that. I can agree with that. And yeah,
Right.
I'll go with that. Once it got to, I want to say the fourth time. The fourth time I was like, I wouldn't accept no for an answer. I was just
Yeah.
like, no, this can't be my reality. Like we are going to have, like, I'm going to have this advanced maternal age geriatric pregnancy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
determined. I was like going to will my way. And people kept saying, oh, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. You're healthy. You're this, you're that. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. And in God's time, and I even had somebody tell me, that they got a word from God, and they were like, do this, speak this over your womb, and anoint your belly with these oils, and say this. And I was like, okay, and I did.
Well, because at that point, it's like whatever will work. I mean, you get a
Yeah.
little desperate, right?
Right. And even I think maybe it was either the third time, it may have been the third time, where my son was nearing age 3 and he was still nursing. Because I remember one person had told me, be careful nursing. This was during the first pregnancy. I do remember this. She meant well, and she was like, be careful with nursing, because sometimes nursing while pregnant can cause you to miscarry. Now in my mind, I'm like, that's not going to happen. People, hey, Amy, people, nurse and tandem nurse and nurse multiple babies, different age groups. I was like, I'll be
Right.
fine.
Right.
And then when I miscarried, I was like, oh,
So you
did she
start
have?
thinking, well, maybe she was right.
Right. Yep. And so then the second miscarriage, I was like, I'm still not ready to wean him yet. I don't want to wean him prematurely, thinking that that's the answer. And then I would have, shortchanged that relationship, mother son nursing relationship. Yeah, I would have chopped it off. I would have made, what's the word I'm looking for? It's late. I would have stopped it prematurely.
Yeah.
And I know I would have felt guilty if I had done that, thinking that, that would have solved the whole quote unquote secondary infertility thing. So I was so grateful that I didn't wean him prematurely. And I wound up miscarrying anyway,
Mm-hmm.
And I think the third one, I finally did wean him, but by that time we were both ready. Like we were both ready to be done. He was almost 3. And so we weaned. And then shortly after I weaned, I was pregnant. Like my husband and I, we would get pregnant first try every time. Anytime I was ovulating, it was pretty much a guarantee that I was going to get pregnant.
Gotcha.
So that was a whole nother layer of stuff in our relationship and our marriage. Because at one point, I was traumatized by the idea of us being intimate, because it set off a cycle. It's like, if I'm intimate with him, we get pregnant, I lose the baby.
Yeah.
And then it takes, because that's the other thing. Like it's always like a 3-month span. It would be a 3-month span of no physical intimacy, besides, the external touch.
Oh, sure.
There was no sex happening during that time. It would be like a 3-month span, and not even on any level. Nothing.
No, nothing.
No, nothing. And because it would be the pregnancy, and it's like, oh, I'm nervous about the pregnancy, so let's not do nothing, because I don't know what's going to happen. Anything can happen. Who knows? I don't know. And any sight of blood, I'm thinking I'm miscarrying.
Yeah.
So no,
it had to be so torturous.
It was horrible. It was horrible every single time. And part of it too that was the most horrible. It was almost as if my husband would get amnesia. Like, you don't remember that this is what happens? Like, we
Yeah.
have this long period where I'm going through all of it, hormones up, hormones down. So
Yeah.
I'm a different person every single day of this, you know?
Yes. Yeah.
I need you to extend me some grace. I need you to be patient. I
I was
need
going
you
to
to
ask you about that, like in regards to because oftentimes we do kind of forget the men that are involved in these processes, and I was going to ask you how it impacted him and how he because sometimes men don't always express or they don't show. So how did he process all of this?
My husband's a Virgo and he's very like black and white. There's no gray with him. It's
Yeah,
just he swings a big hammer. It's that
yeah,
there's no nuances. So he
yeah.
seemed very detached, every single time. It's like almost like I don't know what you want me to do. I don't know what you want me to feel because
Yeah,
I mean, I obviously can't feel what you feel, but
yeah, yeah.
both of us can't be around here struggling. So
And
I'm
you're
gonna just
like, no,
keep
I want you to struggle with me a little bit. Struggle
or
with
at
me.
least have some empathy,
Yes, yes,
and just be like, comfort me as best
yeah.
as you can. But it was almost as if he was like, I don't know what to do. Because the other thing too is his love language is touch.
Oh,
So he touches
okay.
me.
Yeah.
That would also make me be like, get off of me. Because if you're
So
touching
you
me,
got
that
to,
means you're trying to
yeah.
be aroused. And if you're aroused, you want to have sex. And if you want to have sex, I'm going to get pregnant. If I get pregnant, we will miscarry. That whole cycle.
That's torturous. Oh, I'm
Yes,
so sorry.
it was
Yes.
horrible.
Yeah, yeah, that's torture. I mean,
It
because
was
like
horrible.
it's like this tug of war. Like he's trying to do this. You're saying,
Hmm.
"Show me this." He's
Hmm.
showing you the way he shows it, but then it's like, "Nope, I don't want that." Because so it's just, yeah. Oh man. Oh,
I did
oh,
a lot of journaling. I did a lot of
yeah.
meditating. I did a lot of praying. I did a lot of moon cycle following and
Yes, yes,
declarations and affirmations.
yes, yes. All that, right?
I had to do a lot of
And
stuff.
a lot of crying. I'm sure it was some crying and calling out. I mean, yeah.
So
I'm
much
sure it
crying.
was. Yeah,
So
yeah.
much crying. And much of the crying would happen when I would feel that inadequacy around our
Yes.
intimacy.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
I mean, the baby was one thing, but it was what it created. It was the cacophony of discomfort all across the board that it created:
yeah,
physical, emotional, mental, all of it. And then, with our communication, it was rough. It was
yeah,
really rough. And for him, what really would grind my gears was the disconnect. Like, how do you forget that this is what happens? It's happened one, two, three, four, five, now six times. I
yeah.
mean, he was the same way after the sixth one. He was like, "So when we gonna do da da da?" I was like, "Dude,
Right. We just yes, 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 yeah,
I,
yeah,
I'll let you know."
yeah.
You know
So
what I mean?
yeah, so tell me. So how did you get? So at some point, you just concluded to the fact that you know what, this may not be in the cards for us right now. I mean, did you? Are you at that point or?
Oh yes, absolutely. Now,
Yeah,
absolutely. After the fifth one,
yeah,
because that fifth one, I really put in some work. Like
yeah,
I did the Creighton model method of tracking my fertility. I went to see a NAPRO specialist in Richmond. And they tracked everything from beginning. They tracked my follicular health, my set, my egg count, all of it. Everything looked fine. The maturation of the follicle, all of it, no cysts, no nothing. I have like one or two fibroids, but they're like
sure.
really small. One is
Which is very common in
calcified.
what? Yeah,
Yeah, but they're not in the way, they're not
right.
interfering. She's looked at the pre-ovulation, measured it to make sure I had healthy follicles. She did it a couple days post ovulation to make sure my ovaries still look like they were supposed to look at my what is that, endometrium, and to
Yep.
look at the health and the plumpness of my uterus and all that. She
Everything.
was like, "Megan, you are ready. Seize the day, girl. You about
And
to
you're
have
like,
this baby." Right. And I'm like,
yeah,
yes, I'm fine,
you
I'm
feel like
getting there.
yes,
I was on like because with the the early term miscarriage, it looked as if having a short luteal phase was due to like estrogen drops and progesterone drops. But
Okay.
even my levels, they still were within the normal range.
Oh,
And
wow.
then she was looking at my thyroid function. She was like, your thyroid function is in the normal range too. It's a little on the low side, but it's still within the normal range. And then she had me on some cocktail of something that's been proven to help sustain, to keep people from miscarrying early. And I had to check, like, there was so much stuff. We were tracking everything. So I'm like, if something's gonna go wrong, we gonna know sooner rather than later. And it's just, we know it's not something else is going on if all of this looks right and then I still miscarry.
Right.
And so I did.
Yeah.
When my levels started dropping, she told me to come into the office immediately. I drove an hour and a half because that's how far the office was from me.
Wow.
Yep, because she's the only doctor. She's the closest doctor, that type of OBGYN that does, yep. And when she did my sonogram, it revealed a blighted ovum. So, a blighted ovum is just an empty sac where the cells and stuff stopped dividing. It just didn't click. The switch didn't do what it was supposed to do.
So essentially, you never got an answer. I mean, you
Nope.
still haven't. You don't have an answer.
Nope. And this last time, though, okay, so after that fifth time, in my head, I was like, okay, I think I kind of want to try. I just, I was not ready to say no yet. But then I had committed to my causes and things that I was building and stuff that I was moving toward. And my son was gaining more independence and I'm getting a little bit more 40. Like, I think I was 43 at that time. And I'm like, do I really want to be 44 with a newborn? Do I really want to be 45 with a newborn? And my son, he's doing so much better now. I mean, he wasn't doing bad, but those early years, it's a lot.
Oh,
yes.
More
independent and all that. So then I was like, you know what? I think we're good. We're straight. We don't need to do this again. Because really the biggest thing was the emotional turmoil and all the stuff that transpires with me and him when that happens. And that's the hardest part for me.
Even for your son, I mean, I'm sure you've had to feel that tension and the, just the angst and the, just those different energies that come along with it that we don't even know are there sometimes that our babies can feel, around you can feel. And then, of course, when you add on the people around you, I mean, that would be the hardest part for me, And, I mean, of course, what we deal with, internally, I'm not taking away from that. I just know how we can be, women with women. Sometimes, we are not as sensitive as we think that we are, and that can be hard,
It can. Yeah. Well, the final straw was this last one because one, I had decided, or we had decided, actually my husband was leaving it up to me. He was like, if you want to keep trying, we can keep trying. But if you don't want to, that's fine. We don't have to. So I did appreciate that. Like, okay, thank you. So when I was just like, that's it. But we didn't take any permanent measures to try to prevent pregnancy again.
Gotcha.
We were still using rhythm method and I was still tracking, my fertility to see when I am fertile. And again, I have that short luteal phase. So there's not a lot of room. Like there's not a lot of room to actually do anything anyway before I'm having another menstrual cycle. So there's a very small window of fertility, but usually when it's fertile, it's very fertile.
Right.
And so this year, I remember it was Valentine's Day, I think. Yeah, it was Valentine's Day that we got pregnant, but I did not think I was in that fertile window. I thought that I was on the other end of the fertile window, but apparently I was fertile. I had the flu and I thought I had a sinus infection. So I went to the doctor to get what I thought would be antibiotics because my nose was stuffy and I had a headache and it just wouldn't let up. It was like 4 days of stuffy nose and a headache.
Oh, wow.
And I thought it was a sinus infection. They were like, let me check you for the flu because the flu's been weird this year. Probably was other people were coming in with coronavirus and they didn't know it was coronavirus, but they were like,
yeah, I mean, yeah.
yeah, he
Mm-hmm.
was like, the flu's been weird. People have come in with all the symptoms of the flu and test negative for flu. And then people come in with like 1 and 2 symptoms like you and then test positive. So I was like, okay,
Yeah.
go ahead and test it. And so then when he was like, you're positive type A flu strain, he was like, any chances you could be pregnant? I was like, no. Mm-mm. He's like,
Yeah.
okay. So he prescribed me Tamiflu. I called my son's doctor, was like, I just got diagnosed with the flu. Can you prescribe him some medicine?
Yeah.
Called all my students that I had been around. Because again, I had a headache and the stuffy nose. I didn't have, fever and body aches and sore
Right.
throat or cough or any of that. I didn't have that. So I didn't think it
Mm-hmm.
was the flu. I was
Right.
walking around 4 days with the flu.
Oh,
Fortunately,
wow.
none of my students caught the flu.
Oh, good, good.
Yes, praise God. Fortunately, they didn't catch the flu. But something in me said, because remember, I had a short luteal phase, but
Yeah.
with me tracking my cycles, I was on day 29
Oh,
of my
okay.
cycle. Right. And I hadn't been going past like day 26. So the fact that I was at day 29, I was like, could I be pregnant? I don't know. So I got the Tamiflu because I was like, well, I know I got the flu and I'm not trying to be sick forever.
Right.
So let me get that. But let me also get this pregnancy test just in case. For the just in case. Because the last thing I want is to be pregnant and not know.
Yeah.
Because I did think I might have been pregnant another time prior to that and did not know because it was a strange cycle that I had when it came and how much blood it was. It felt like, oh, wait a minute, could this be? I don't know. But the timing, it was just weird. So this time I
Yeah.
was like, well, could I be? Maybe. Let me get a test. So I got the test, and sure enough, I tested positive for
Wow.
pregnancy. I was like, what? How? No, Megan, you know how. The same way how every other time.
Well, you know how.
You know how. Right. But in that instant, I was like, I felt every emotion. I felt angry. I felt deceived. I felt jealous. I felt afraid. I felt glad. I felt confused. I felt it all in that moment.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't even know what to feel because
Yeah.
I'm feeling everything, So this
Yeah.
one was real bad. It was real, real bad because the pregnancy itself, there was no joy in it. It
Yeah.
was, it was, it was almost as if trying to be joyful was a cruel joke.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
this is going to end up like it's always ended up. And I've been dragging the baby with Tamiflu. Like,
Megan, you said I've been dragging. Oh,
I mean, so it was hard to have
yeah.
that optimism. My faith was on like 0 and
Yeah.
people like, but what if? I was like, screw the what if. By this time, and this is what scared me. I actually started to become bitter.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah.
prior, the other 5, I didn't feel any bitterness,
Yeah.
but this one, I was everything. It was just sour.
Yeah.
Everything was sour. And then I was feeling apathetic. And this was like right at the beginning of when we went on shutdown, where everything was closed.
So now you're isolated and then trapped in the house, and so wow, yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot. And that's the thing is that people don't understand the things that plague us, and that I mean, really, people don't understand. So I want you to tell me how you push forward,
It's time for that part.
yes,
Okay.
I mean, because you know what, I want to give space to all of it, because I mean, us telling our raw truth, as painful as it is, it's so necessary. It's okay for us to be vulnerable, and it's okay for us to not be 100% perfect, right? It's okay for that, and we have to be able to give ourselves grace and permission to be our authentic selves, and this is all a part of it. So, but I do want to talk about the other side of this, because it's a lot of women and men who have experienced this in some type of form, and I want you to tell your story on how you kind of pushed through and got to the other side of this. Because this
Yeah.
is still recent. I mean, this you're saying February right now. I mean, that's
Yeah,
not
this
that long
year.
ago. So,
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah, so February to April was horrible,
yeah.
absolutely horrible. And I had gotten to about 190 pounds. And
Okay.
my comfortable weight was like at 155 most of the time. And then post Keegan comfortable weight was 165, like another 10 pounds.
Okay.
So to be at 190 something pounds, and I just felt horrible. I felt horrible. I felt horrible all the way around, just mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. I think it was the lowest point I had been in a really long time. So I was glad that we were actually socially isolated because
Yeah.
I didn't have to front. I
Yeah.
didn't have to wear a mask or
Okay. You could.
put
Yes.
on
Yes.
anything and
Mm-hmm.
try to act like I was something other than what I was.
Like
And
you were happy. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
yeah, I also did not have to deal with, the questions and all the other stuff that comes that had come with the other ones. So it was a blessing slightly. I was also able to pen a chapter in a book about was it trauma? Is that the book was related to trauma? I think so.
That
And
would
she
make
didn't know that I was miscarrying. When she asked me to potentially write the chapter, I was experiencing the miscarriage. And
wow. Mm.
she was like, if it's too painful, I was like, oh, no, 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 this is going to help me heal. This is going to
Therapeutic.
be
Yes.
cathartic.
Yes. Purge. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Honey.
Yes. How you just one chapter you want, or can I give you two?
Oh, it was one was enough.
Yes.
One was enough. And that felt so good. So that was
Yeah.
part of that's kind of what started me helping to process and not staying in that bitter, dark place where I was,
Yeah.
because that actually frightened me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
it
yeah.
was scary because I
Oh
knew it
yeah.
had the potential to just rob me from everything and everyone.
Yeah.
I knew it was going to shortchange myself and shortchange my family. So I was like, we no. So how I came out of that, it started with the writing. And then I just made a decision. Once I accepted that this was it, we're not going to try, we're going to eliminate accidents, meaning, we're going to put some barriers in place
Sure.
to make sure that we don't get pregnant again while I'm still in, fertile years. I didn't want him to have surgery, and I definitely didn't want to have surgery. So, and I didn't want like an IUD or something permanent. So, I opted for the mini pill, the one that you can get while you're breastfeeding. That's low
Okay. Yeah.
dosage.
Mm-hmm.
So I opted for that because I was like, well, I probably won't have a stroke from that one. You know what I mean? Like, because that was a concern, being older and the hormones and all that. But I was like,
Oh yeah.
at this point, I need to prevent, because all the other ways that we were trying didn't work. We got pregnant many times.
Yeah.
Um, so, and I want to be free to be able to be intimate with my husband. If
Sure.
I can't be free because I'm afraid that we're going to get pregnant, that's horrible. So,
Yeah.
I knew that's what I had to do for me. On top of that, once I knew and decided this was it, I had to be at peace with the change in the vision for the dream.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
dream was to have two biological children. I have two children. One is just not biological. She's my bonus daughter. She's 21.
Oh, okay.
So I have children. I
Mm-hmm.
just didn't give birth to both of
Yeah.
those children.
Yep.
And then I'm very open with my son because he asks all the time, Mommy, can we have a baby? Don't you want to have a
Mhm.
baby? I wish I had a little brother. I wish I had a baby sister. And I'm very honest with him.
Yeah.
And so when I was pregnant this last time, I was like, Mommy does have a baby, potentially a baby growing in. So having the open and honest conversation with him, I think that was cathartic too, because
Sure.
I wasn't trying to hide anything, and I wanted him to have, as full understanding as he could, 5-year-old brain.
Yeah.
But he seems to be okay with it. He rode with it the whole time.
Our babies are, yeah, they're
He
so
rode with it the
resilient
whole
and just accepting. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes he'll tell people like, "My mom tried to have a baby, but her body stopped
Mm.
working, so we don't have a baby anymore. But it's okay. Mommy's okay. I'm okay."
Oh,
He'll tell the story for me.
yeah. Yeah.
But April, when was it? What day? It was some day in April. It was like April 24th that I just made a conscious decision that I was tired of
Yeah.
feeling like I was feeling all across the board and
Yeah.
not being able to live. Like it was
It wears you
robbing me.
down. Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
robbing me of life. And
Hmm.
I was like, this is unsustainable. This is going to hurt me in the long run. Like in the grand scheme of things, this is going to mess a lot of stuff up. I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
trying to live.
Yes.
So I decided to just be more deliberate about my intentions
Okay.
and how I exist. So I call it being how I am while I am just being.
Yes. Yes.
So with that, I brought a lot of sensory awareness into my day.
Yeah.
So from the time that I wake up, I, scan my body, I scan my emotions, I scan my thoughts, I scan my inner man. Like, okay, it's a new day.
Yeah.
We get to play again. We
Yeah.
get to play with the atmosphere.
Yes.
And I'm just conscious throughout the day, and I check in often, like, how am I feeling? How am I breathing? What's my heart rate doing? That was an interesting emotion, or that was an interesting sensation. Is there a meaning behind that? Maybe. I don't go into a long, drawn out thing, but I just do a scan
Yeah.
throughout the day. And I'm being more aware of just what the feedback of my environment is giving me, but I'm
Yeah.
aware of it sensationally. So what I'm
Yeah.
feeling in my body.
Hmm.
Um, I also made a conscious decision to change some of my habits,
Sure.
change the micro habits. So one of the micro habits is, and I talked about habit strategy. I call myself a habit strategist because I teach violin. So, all the things about habit formation and all that, that's been my life.
Yeah.
So, doing your habits dictate your life pretty much. So I was like, all right, if I can just shift a few small things, they would eventually compound and be big things. So
Yeah.
that small thing is actually a keystone habit, and you can focus on that, and that will cascade and
Oh yeah.
influence everything else. So the keystone habit that I wanted to focus on primarily was my eating. Consciousness around my food.
Which impacts us in
Mhm.
so many ways. Yeah.
Yep. So that's the main thing that I changed, and I was a weight management coach prior to Keegan, so 2013. So I learned a lot about, what to eat, when to eat, how to eat. I know it's different for everybody, in
Sure.
various body types. So for me, I'm like, all right, I'm just going to eat real food. I'm going to eat real food. I'm going to eat mostly plants, and I'm not going to eat too much food.
Yeah.
And I'm going to, minimize um, the bulk of what I consume is going to be food. So
Yeah.
I'm not going to not eat, treats and little snacks and yummy things. And so I didn't deprive myself, but I
Sure.
was like, when I'm eating, I'm going to be eating food.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I have a window. So I was like, all right, if I give my body a break, give my digestive system a break at night while I'm sleeping. And then in the beginning hours of the morning, I can rev my system up with liquids, water, lemon water,
Like
tea,
intermittent
things like
fasting.
that.
Yeah.
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 So
Yeah.
I would stop eating at 8 and I won't eat again until 11 in the
Yeah.
morning.
Yeah.
And then I
Yeah.
made sure I sleep. So 6 to 8 hours of sleep every night. And then again with water.
Right. Yes. Yes.
Drinking
Keep that skin right. Right.
yeah, or just just feeling better.
Oh yeah, it flushes out. I mean, so many beauties to water for sure. Blood flushing
Yeah.
out toxins and everything. So
Mhm.
wow, one thing that I want to say is that I really appreciate that you said how you made a choice. And that's
Mm-hmm.
one thing that I tell a lot of people that I work with is that a lot of stuff is us making our own personal choices, and this is not to take away from the things that we go through in life. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I always tell people life comes with its own chaos. We don't have to create any chaos. Oh, is everything okay?
Yeah, he was asking me a question. What did you
Oh,
say? Sorry about that.
that's okay.
I think that's the whole thing. All of that plus that.
Oh, okay. So this is after the tea.
Yeah, I think so. Okay, sorry about that.
Oh, that's okay. Hey, I just was saying life comes with its own stuff, but life comes with its own chaos.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have to create it for ourselves. It's going to
Mm-hmm.
come anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But, I really do appreciate that you said you made a choice because you definitely could have made a choice to just stay in that place. We do it all the time, right?
Right.
We make these choices to stay in this place, and rightfully so. Some people are very, I mean, hey, it's valid, to feel that way and to want to just stay there, stay hidden, stay protected, and just stay in a corner in a dark room. But you made a choice to kind of come out thriving, really,
Yeah.
in my opinion, because you made a choice for your life,
Mm-hmm.
and just decided that I want to be happy, I want to have joy, I want peace, I want intimacy, I want my friend back.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just so many things to that. I want to be there for, Keegan. Is that his name? Keegan?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be all the way there for him, and not rob him of me because of other things. So I really appreciate that. So, what would you tell to other women that may be suffering through this, or I hate using the word suffering, but for lack of a better word, I'm sorry, or just kind of going through this journey in life. What would you say to them? If for someone else that's going through this, what you know.
Really feel your feelings and be honest with yourself about what's happening, what you're feeling. Um, One of the most challenging things to do is to acknowledge and accept what's actually happening,
Yeah,
and to make some type of peace with it,
yeah,
because it's not like it's not happening.
yeah,
It's happening, and there's
yeah,
no stopping it once it starts happening. Um, so mm, other than feeling what you feel, it's you don't. Oh, here's another thing I would try to do. I would try
yeah.
to hurry the grief along.
Mm,
I'd be like, all right, let's get this over with because, I'm done with feeling like this. It's time to keep it. You know what I mean? And grief would be
letting
like,
it all
girl,
the way.
sit down.
Yeah,
Sit
yes,
down.
yeah,
Go
yeah,
ahead and feel this thing. Ride this wave out.
yeah.
And another one might be coming tomorrow.
And it's okay.
And
And
it's
it's
okay.
okay. And it's okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So really allow yourself to feel and process, go through the process of the grief. Because there was one something that I read at one point in my journey that helped me understand that yes, indeed, it is a process and it doesn't happen in a straight line. It used the
Yeah.
analogy of like, when you're swimming or if you're in the ocean and
Yeah.
you're in it and you're treading water, trying to stay above the water, and here comes the wave and it's going to take you under. And
Yeah.
if you fight the wave while you're under, you're using more energy. It's harder
Yeah.
to get back up, and you won't have enough energy for when the wave comes again. And it's going to take you back under. So
Yeah.
they were like, ride the wave, relax, let your body come back to the surface.
Breathe a
You
little bit. Yeah.
breathe a bit, yep, and you
Yeah.
have some energy to keep, treading and moving towards what it is that you're trying to get to. And when that next wave comes, it won't be so devastating. So
Yeah.
each wave is less and less devastating.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So with that, feel it, let it flow, pass through you, ride it, and then once you get through it, but also don't let anybody try to tell you dictate your timeline of how long it's going to take to go through
Yes. Yes. And you know what, as we stated earlier, people mean well. I do
hmm
believe that they have great intentions, but we have such a way of trying to tell somebody else what they should feel, how they should feel it, how long they should feel it, or if they should feel it at all, you know. And it's like, wait a minute now, hold up, you know, this is me going through this. And yeah, and you know, and I just want to add that, you know, I just feel like what I always want to tell women is that you are not inadequate. You are whole. You are whole how you are, you know, it pains me sometimes the pressure that people feel based on what society has said that we should be, you know, and that's why I like when you said just being, you know, that's one thing, you know, when I've spoken to some of my students that I've worked with, you know, say be free to be. And that's it. No, nothing else. I don't have to say be happy, be sad. Just be, and whatever that looks like at that moment, be that. You know, and I think that, you know, we as women have to encourage each other to be in that place a little bit more. To just be who we are, be what we are, be, like you said, if it's messy at that moment, be messy. And if you want me to cry with you, I'll cry with you. I mean, you know, whatever you need at this moment, if you want me to just stand outside the door to make sure nobody else comes in while you cry at that moment, I'll do that too. And I think we just need to be a little bit more gracious to each other in those moments.
My son's godmother, I'll never forget this moment. This was after, I want to say maybe the third or fourth one. And so she and I were pregnant at the same time with our first. So Keegan's god sister is maybe like, I think 8 or 9 weeks younger than he is. So we were pregnant together. We talked about everything together and, you know, birth stories and all that stuff together. And then here I am, I'm having these miscarriages. And then she's pregnant and she has another baby. And so I couldn't even hold. There was a period where I was triggered by holding babies. And I was like, please don't give me a baby because I will drop it. I don't want to hold your baby. I was triggered by that. And but there was one moment, I'll never forget it. We were at her in-laws' house. Her husband is best friends with my husband.
Okay.
And we were at the in-laws' house and I was talking about something related to the pregnancy. And all she did was she just reached out and grabbed my hand and she just held it. And she held it like against her leg and she didn't say a word.
Yes.
She didn't say nothing. She didn't try to comfort me. She didn't try to empathize with me. She didn't try to act like she knew what I was going through. None of that. She didn't co-sign anything. She literally just supported me physically in that moment and just held my hand and let me, you know, go through what it was I needed to go through in that moment. And that physical touch, that one thing, that moved me so much. Like I'll never forget that. And I'm just like, girl, you are a saint in my book.
Yes. She let you know she was there. She let you know, look, I'm here. That's it. I'm here, you know, and it's this freeing moment too, where it's like, you know, it's almost as if they're giving you permission to just be in that moment. Yes. And I mean, that's a beautiful thing. Like you said, that sisterhood that can't be replaced. It can't be mistaken. I mean, it is what it is. And that's where we need to be with each other, where it's like, you know, I don't have to understand what you're going through. I just see you in pain or you're hurting or you're whatever the situation is. And I just want to be there for you. So, that's a beautiful thing. And I'm thankful for you that you were able to experience that with her.
Yes, it was, I needed that. I definitely needed that in that moment. And it's been impactful. Like I'll never forget it.
It's the little things. And that's the thing that people always miss, that is that, you know, we always look for these grand displays and there's nothing wrong with that, you know, if that's what people are into. But a lot of times we miss those small moments that are the most impactful, you know, when it's like that. I don't know, just that, allowing you to be vulnerable with them, you know, and just like, you know, just like I'm thankful that you trusted this space to share your story. You know, I mean, I'm always grateful for that because people don't understand that everybody doesn't trust everybody with their stories or everybody, you know. So I'm just thankful that you trusted this space and that, you know, we can be there for each other in this capacity. You know, like I said, I don't have to walk the same path that you walked, but I can be there empathetically and like you said, just in that moment, or to allow
Yeah.
our sisters to be vulnerable. So
Yeah. Thank you.
oh, of course, of course. No, I'm just so happy that you're at a place where, because it's so often we see people that kind of just like I said, stay where they are,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because, and some people think it's safer there
Yes.
because they've gotten, or maybe they've allowed themselves to feel as if, okay, this safety, although uncomfortable, I can control this. I know
Yes.
what to expect. This is my
Mhm.
bubble. Nobody can penetrate it. But what happened with me, even though I felt safe, to a
Yeah.
degree in that bubble, it was so uncomfortable.
Hmm.
So uncomfortable on many levels. And it was at that point where I was just like, this is going to kill me if I
Yeah.
don't get out of this.
Yeah.
And I ain't trying to be dead.
I know that's right. I know that's right. It's like imploding. It's like,
Yes.
all this stuff is being. I know that's right, and
Mhm.
it's about freedom, and
Mhm.
our different pains or different paths sometimes already hard and burdensome, and it's like, I don't want to stay in that place. I have to be free. And if that means I got to cry my way out of this for the next 30 days or whatever it is, then that's what, and that's the things that people don't understand. When we evolve or when we transform or when we go to different levels in our life, people often, paint these pictures of this beautiful moment, this like, oh my, you dancing through lilies and, no, honey, it is messy, it's
Very
ugly,
good.
it's hard, it
Mhm.
hurts. It
Mhm.
literally physically hurts.
Yes.
Your eyes are puffy, you can't hardly see, your nose is stuffy because you got stuff coming down. It's an ugly process, but
Yes.
it's so
Cleansing.
necessary. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Definitely. Definitely. And I experienced a lot of that. Like it was mostly that period, February to April, where it
Yeah.
was real hard, ugly, mucky, messy, gross, nasty, horrible. And then when the transition began, after I made that conscious choice to be like, okay, I have to do something different. Um, I was writing, journaling, and
Yeah.
I was planning, okay, this is what I'm this is this is the action step I'm going to take, and hopefully this will catapult everything else.
Yeah.
I'm going to center it on being, right? And
Yeah.
also being intentional. That's what I'm going to
Yes.
ground myself in while I am going through these transitions. Because, yes, it is going to be hard. Am I going to want to do the same things that I was doing before? Yes, of course. I'm going to want to drink my feelings away. I'm going to want to eat pizza every night. I'm going to want to, abuse other things and do stuff that can hurt me, even further. I'm going to want to do those things. I'm going to
Yes.
have cravings. I'm going to have temptations. I'm going to have thoughts, maybe some insidious thoughts. Who knows?
Oh
I've
yeah.
had them. You know what I mean? I'm going to
Oh,
face
for
those
sure.
things.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so if I ground myself intentionally on being and then bringing that awareness of observation so that I don't feel like, oh, it's me that this is happening to, and more of
Right.
this is this is something I'm experiencing, but I can observe it as an
Yes.
observer and then, consciously move through it.
Yeah.
That was really challenging, but
Yeah.
at the same time, the rewards were daily. It was like,
Yeah.
okay, I got through today. This is how I feel at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Oh, this is what I noticed about today. Oh, I noticed when I did this, or I noticed when I said this, or I noticed, I literally was observing. And
Yeah.
so after, the first week, there were results. After the second, and it just compounded week
Yeah.
after week after week. And it's like,
And you start feeling more powerful. Like, yes, I got
yes,
this. I got
yes,
this. And I love how you touched on the different things that you try to use to cope.
to
So
cope and numb myself. Yep.
yes, I mean, and we have to be real about that thing because we all have done that.
Mhm.
Because especially when things are happening in your life that you feel as though you have no control over,
Yes.
you gonna have control over something. I'm like, look,
Yes.
I can have control over ordering that pizza, like you said. Why
Yeah.
do I have control over this? And even though it's harmful to us, just as the other thing may have been harmful, in our
Mhm.
mind, it's like, but I have control over this. I'm
Mhm.
having some type of say over my life, no matter how destructive it may be. And we've all experienced that in one way or the other. So
Yep.
thank you for touching on that too. Well, I
Mhm.
know it's late, and I know that I know, but I mean, of course, this type of thing I can talk about all night, all day, because it's so therapeutic for me as well. You know, just being able to vibe on that level of self healing and evolving and growth and enlightenment and all of that. You know, I just love it, and it's just so empowering on so many levels. But I know it's late, and I just wanted to just thank you. I want to share your website here. I want you to tell us a little bit about Her Healing Place real quick before you leave. I got to put a plug in for you and about the work that you're doing. So tell us a little bit about that before you go.
Okay, so excuse me, Her Healing Place is a brand and a movement that was birthed out of this pain, feeling isolated and alone and feeling as if, I'm a woman on an island.
Yeah,
But in seeking out modalities for my healing, um, I was given the vision of bringing a bunch of people together. So instead of having scattered experiences, bringing a culminating experience with multiple healing professionals in the healing arts who would then collectively work together for whatever it is that you may be facing.
yeah,
So 1 year we had, and it was a very intimate and immersive healing experience. So we had it in Williamsburg, Virginia in 2019. And we were scheduled to have it this year as well. We do it
yeah.
every year around the summer solstice. But
Hmm.
this year, because of the virus and everything, we really couldn't
Sure.
do it. And I did not want to dilute the experience by trying to quote unquote pivot to an online version.
Right, right.
It just wasn't that the vision wasn't aligned with that.
Sure.
So we've just postponed it to next year, but we have it's more experiential. So even though there's a conference involved, the conference involves activity-based interaction with the presenters. And last time we had it, it was very surreal, very spiritual, very palpable. Like
Yeah,
everybody who attended was blown away by the experience. Like they said they had never attended a conference where they experienced what they did while they were there, and then the
that's
effects were
awesome.
they were lasting after they
Yeah,
left. It wasn't like, oh, that was nice. It had long lasting impact.
yeah.
So we are doing that again in 2021. This time it will be a 3-day experience. Before it was just 1 day,
And I do
but
have
now we have 3 days.
that other website too if people want to look at, because on this one you have some past pictures and things
Right.
like that, right? Yeah,
Yeah, this was the original website. I haven't updated it since the first time. But
that's
this
okay.
this one with 2021 at the end goes directly to the Eventbrite page, so you can read, see the description. You can watch
Yeah, I
a
saw it. It looks
recap
really
video.
nice.
Thank
Yeah.
you. What's the
Yeah.
time?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm grateful for that space. And it's women supporting women
Yes.
creating these atmospheres and safe places and spaces to do this work of
Yeah.
self-healing. Hmm.
Yes.
Being seen, being recognized, being understood, being
Being
supported,
heard. Yeah, all of
being
that.
heard. Yes.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. No, I appreciate that. And I encourage everyone who sees this to look at it
Yes.
and to hopefully participate. You know, and I say this about everything, and this takes nothing away from the things that we go through, but I'm a firm believer that there's always light that comes out of some type of darkness. I believe that. And I'm not saying that things are supposed to happen. I don't believe in the whole thing that the only way for you to experience happiness is that you have to struggle,
Mhm.
but I do believe in all of our struggle comes some type of happiness or some type of joy, some type of light. And this Her Healing Place was birthed out of that pain. So that in itself is a beautiful thing. We're able to take the thing that we go through and whatever seed was planted from that for
Mhm.
something to grow and plant and be birthed from it is a beautiful thing. So again, Megan, I really appreciate you for coming on today. It was really nice just kind of vibing with you, talking with you. And again, I appreciate you for sharing your story. I am a believer that it will help somebody, and I believe that it also is continually to help you, to heal as well, because healing it keeps happening, it keeps going. Yes, yes. So
Yeah,
thank you so much for your time and this conversation. So I appreciate you.
it's my pleasure. Thank you for the invitation.
Yes, yes, and I wish you the best. I really do. I wish you the best in all your endeavors, and with your family. I'm just happy to hear that there's healing there as well. And just everything. So just to see you smile and be such a light is a beautiful thing. So thank you.
Hey, you're
Yes,
welcome. My
yeah, yeah,
pleasure.
yes,
Thank you. Thank you for this space and place. Thank you.
yeah, yeah. This was great. So, well, you have a great evening. Thank you so much, and I wish you well.
Likewise. Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Oh, well, again, I just thank Megan for coming on and sharing her story. It was wonderful, beautiful, enlightening, and just so powerful. When people are able to kind of share the depths of them and be vulnerable and to feel comfortable to share their stories is always a beautiful thing, and it teaches us so much, and we're able to learn and grow together. So I appreciate that. I thank you guys for watching. To all the women out there who have ever experienced a miscarriage or even full term and, just all of that, the hardships and the struggles that come with that. I just wish you peace. I wish you healing. And I think journaling, as she stated, is such a good thing. Talking about it. And again, I've never experienced it, so I don't try to act like I know, what a person goes through. But I'm the kind of person that says, I'm here though. I'm here. So hopefully you have someone like that in your life that will be there for you. Like she said, just to hold your hand. So, because we're all just kind of walking each other back home. So I just appreciate everybody and wish you all a great night. Thanks so much. Bye.